In this video, I want to talk about my repair, hygiene, and first aid kits, which I kept in my Ditty bag, and also a couple accessories that helped me on my AT thru hike. Hey everybody, it's Frozen and thanks for joining me. I want to go through what I brought in my Ditty bag. So first aid, hygiene, repair, and a couple of accessories, like I said. So let's get down to the table and just dive right into this. I'm kind of sad to make this video and kind of wrap up the entire video series for my thru hike, but we have many adventures to come, so that's what I got to keep looking forward to. Anyway, let's get down to the table. All right, now that everything's down on the table, let's talk about the things that weren't in my Ditty bag, and then we'll get into all the little specifics on the table. Okay, so for trekking poles, let's get these out of the way first. I used a pair of Lecky Carbon Micro Vario TI Z-style poles, something like that. And the Z-style just means that they're in 3 sections, and then when you pull this section down, they become locked into one pole. So I really liked that idea because they just broke down so small. However, if I were to do this again, I would probably go with an aluminum set. These carbon shafts ended up breaking multiple times throughout New Hampshire and Maine, which is really rocky. Like I said, they broke in Pennsylvania as well. And I really felt like if I had aluminum, it would have been a lot better on me, because then I would actually have a pole. I could just bend it back, if anything. But because they were carbon, the shafts broke. So I really don't recommend carbon trekking poles, at least on the AT. All right, sit pad. At the start, I ended up bringing a Dutchware sit pad. It was not very thick, not very comfortable, but it got the job done. In hot springs, I noticed that I had some cold spots in my underquilt, and I just picked up one of these Thermarest Z seats. And this worked out fantastic, not only for adding that extra bit of warmth behind my back with the underquilt cold spots, but it's a lot more comfortable. So this is definitely a great option. Now, if I wasn't on a thru hike, I'd probably just go with the Dutchware thing, but because I was out there for so long, every little bit of comfort that you can get matters. At the start of the trail, I wore a knee brace on my left knee because I was going into the trail a little bit injured. I had done some stupid challenge hike and just really messed up my knee. So I started injured, I had a knee brace, I ended up sending it home after about 300 miles, right after the Smokies, and I didn't need it again until the end of Vermont is where I picked up these. Now these are copper fit knee braces. These worked out very well. They're really ridiculous as far as price, so I'd say if you can find something that resembles this, it'll work for you. These have this useless copper stuff in here to make everything balanced. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me, the science behind it, but these work. This is what I could find, and this is what I got. And I use these all through Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. All right, so the rest of this stuff was pretty much in my Ditty bag 24/7. So let's just start with the bag. The Ditty bag that I held everything in was just a light AF Ditty bag. This worked out great, no problems with it. It still looks brand new, and it just has a simple waterproof closure. So it worked out great. Light AF makes awesome products. Can't complain about anything with them. Now on the trail, I did wear contacts. I wore these contacts called night and days, and what I would do is I could sleep in them for up to 30 days and nights. And what I would do is I would keep them in for about 4 or 5 days and then take them out into town and wash them. And pick up temporary contact solution or just pre-fill the contact case with solution, and you should be good until you can get into town and get some solution. So don't bring a whole bunch of stuff. You can always resupply in town, but I definitely needed a contact case to kind of hold everything once I had them out. Inside my Ditty bag, I would keep an extra pair of earplugs. I'm a very light sleeper, and these earplugs are awesome. I think they're called Heroes. H-E-A-R-O-S. Something that I saw a lot on the trail was people that lost their O-rings for their Sawyer squeeze. The O-ring is this little white thing down here that kind of locks the filter onto the bottle or vessel, whatever you're filtering in. And I just had one extra O-ring that I ended up giving to Togs because she had lost hers. Now Lucky had given her an O-ring too. For whatever reason, her filter was all goofy and it just kept falling out of the filter. So Fresh Ground actually had a Sawyer rep send him a whole bunch of these guys, and you can get these at Home Depot too, or I think you can just email customer support for Sawyer and pick up a couple extra of these. They're really cheap. And it's definitely worth bringing an extra little O-ring. Now, I didn't lose mine on the trail at all, but I saw a ton of other people that did, and it was always nice being able to help those people. But it was a nice gesture to give somebody an O-ring. So definitely carry a couple of those. All right, my secret weapon for chafing. These two items right here. I ended up starting with Body Glide. I didn't use it. I don't think it did anything. But what I noticed was baby powder, A&D ointment. Put the baby powder on last, A&D ointment on first, and you will not only heal what you already have, but you also keep it dry. And that is the key to not chafing. These two things. Like I said, I didn't use the Body Glide at all. I just ended up tossing it. On top of that, my feet. They don't really get blisters anymore, but they do dry out when it rains. They get cracked and it just feels uncomfortable pretty much every night of the trail. And I went through 3 of these on the trail just to give you an idea. This is Rocket Pure Hand and Foot Balm. It's a salve that you just put on your finger. It goes on your feet. It goes on your cracked lips. You know, any kind of cracking of the skin this will work on. So I really didn't need chapstick, but I didn't find that out until much later. So I did ended up getting in Hiawassee just of some Burt's Bees stuff. So it worked out well between these two, and it's perfectly fine. That way, I'd still recommend you carry one of these chapsticks because then your lips don't taste like feet. Super glue. I don't think I ever used the super glue. Can't remember, but it's definitely something that I think everybody should carry. Maybe not something this big, but a little vial, a little tube will definitely suffice. A little signal mirror. So this signal mirror is just one of them safety items. I also take my contacts in and out with these things if I have to do it in the backcountry. And this works out great. This weighs literally nothing. It's been with me on every single trip I've ever been on. Actually, I think this is probably one of the only items that has been on every single trip with me since I started backpacking. But this thing's awesome. Plus, you know, added security of a signal mirror. Lyco tape. I used a couple of these things, just a roll of Lyco tape or leukotape, however you want to say it, around a drinking straw, and that's really all I did. I think I ended up giving some tape to other people, but I think I needed it once whenever I was having some foot problems early on in the trail. But yeah, weighs really nothing, and it's really useful for blisters. All right, hand sanitizer. You always saw this on my pack hanging up on the shoulder strap. You know, just take some in your hand and keep your hand clean. You definitely don't want to get any weird diseases or bacteria. And you know, this is just readily available for after you go to the bathroom. It's really simple. I always had an extra Bic lighter in my Ditty bag in case the one that is in my pockets or my pot got wet, because then the flint wouldn't work. So extra lighter. I didn't buy a lighter. No, I did. I bought one lighter because the flint fell out of my one. So I definitely recommend carrying 2 lighters. Safety pin. Didn't really use this much after Tennessee and North Carolina, but this is just to pop blisters. Didn't really need to hold any gear together. Just pop some blisters. That's all that's for. Chris from Light AF, he had sent me an extra cord lock after my broke on my hammock. I was really surprised that he just kind of sent that over. While I was taking a 0 in Hot Springs, it means the vendors are watching the videos and they actually care about the people using their products. All right, desiccant bag. I had this the whole way. This is people think it's rat poison, but desiccant basically absorbs humidity and it soaks up into these little plastic beads instead of your gear. So I had one of these in the Ditty bag at all times. This is ready to go. This is definitely starting to get pretty ragged looking, but definitely recommend a little desiccant bag in your electronics and perhaps your Ditty bag like I did. Let's talk about pills. A whole bunch of pills in this. I had these all cutely separated into their own little baggies, but you know what? This is so much easier. Just put everything in one bag. It's going to end up there anyway. In here, I had Tylenol PM, ibuprofen, Prilosec, and Aleve. The Aleve are the blue pills right here, and I found that Aleve actually helped me more throughout the day with my issues than the ibuprofen. I'll probably just end up switching to Aleve just to carry less, because you only need one Aleve pill maybe every 8 to 12 hours, where ibuprofen lasts, I believe, every 4 to 6. So it just makes more sense for me to carry Aleve, especially since it works better for me. Now, some of the Tylenol PM stuff I had to take just to get to sleep. In New Hampshire, I was hurting pretty bad. The whites really killed my muscles and my joints, and sometimes they kept me up just all night. So I ended up getting Tylenol PM, and that stuff worked out very well to kind of take the pain out and kind of knock me out at the same time. On top of knocking me out, these are the sleep gummies. Now, a whole bunch of companies make this. I forget what brand this is, but take 2 of these. It gives you the extra melatonin, and you fall right to sleep. Now, these don't keep you asleep. They make you tired. They make you fall asleep. But if you're being woken up, which is why I suggest earplugs, then you're just gonna be up again. The melatonin's gonna wear off. So try to stay asleep with these. All right. Teeth brushing stuff. Toothpaste, real small thing of toothpaste. I carried a Trowel toothbrush. Usually these two came together in its own pack, so when it was time to replace the toothbrush, I would also get a free toothpaste out of the deal. You can find these pretty much at any gas station that you come by. I'd be really surprised if you didn't find one of these in a gas station. So don't worry about running out of toothpaste or anything like that. Gas stations are everywhere. And then I started with a little thing of floss, and I just decided just to take the big thing of floss. Now you can break this, you can take this apart, which is what I usually did, and just have the string, okay? You just have the string to do that, and just cut it with, whatever your teeth. This is what I recommend because this weighs just as much as one of the little flosses. So I did floss pretty much every night. I tried to be really good with it because, if you get a tooth problem, then you're kind of screwed, especially not having insurance. Now, speaking of insurance, I did have Travelex Insurance, and everything that that company sent me was great. I think it was like $140, $120 for the total. The total was $120 for the 4 months that I was actually out there. They had a $500 deductible on everything, but they covered medical. They covered emergency evacuations. They covered dental. They covered all this stuff for what I thought was a pretty low price as far as, as far as insurance goes. The only problem with traveler's insurance is you have to make sure that you're a certain distance away from your primary residence. So that didn't really affect me being in Pittsburgh. The closest I got, I think, was 120 miles or something to Pittsburgh. I could be wrong about that, but that worked out great. So Travelex Insurance. All right, so what you're looking at now is my repair kit. It just consists of a whole bunch of Cuban fiber tape squares, and I ended up using this on a couple things. I fixed a couple people's food bags that were just eaten by squirrels or just looking raggedy in trees, and I ended up putting this on my underquilt because it had gotten eaten in the Smokies by a mouse. So definitely recommend some kind of tenacious tape or Cuban fiber tape, works just as well. And I used a couple squares of these, to be honest with you. This was great, making sure I had that. This is double ply toilet paper. I am guilty of stealing some from gas stations. Sue me, whatever. I always made sure I bought a whole bunch of stuff at the gas stations because, candy bars are good. And so I had a couple of things of toilet paper. The big thing that I bought was wet wipes. I found they worked a lot better than toilet paper, just for literally anything that I needed them for. They really helped clean up that rear view mirror in the back, and if you're really dirty or stinky, you could take a bath with that. I also brought a trowel. It's a Chi Whiz titanium trowel. It's super light, but I only had to dig 5 or 6 cat holes the entire time that I was out on the AT. Now, I still would recommend something like this, but anything more than this, I think would be just completely overboard. I never had a problem digging, and most of the times I was just stopping at the priviews to do my business. These little guys right here, I carried a couple of these to start, I think 3 or 4, have 1 left. But these are light load towels. What you do is you get them wet, and these act as a little sham for your tarp, to dry off with, whatever you could see use for. I think I maybe cleaned out my pot a couple times while on trail with them, and then they're just easily disposable. You just throw them away with your garbage bags. So, pretty good stuff. All my first aid kit gear stuff would stay in this little Ziploc bag, freezer bag, and I think this is the one I started with. Definitely carry some extra of these in your food bag though. For wallet, I would always have my little Swiss Army knife with a knife, a file, and scissors. I used all 3 of these things on the thru hike, but never more than these things. It also has a toothpick and tweezers for getting ticks off. And this is great. This is all I needed. I didn't need a huge knife as expected, and this was just perfect for what I needed. It always stayed inside my Z-Packs wallet. Now, as far as the money and the items that I carried in here, carried my Travelex printed out insurance card, I carried my driver's license, and I carried my Amazon credit card because I was buying lots of stuff on Amazon, and as a Prime member I get, what, 3 or 5% back on it. I also never carried more than $100. There's absolutely no need to carry more than $100. There's probably no need to carry more than $60. I think that's what I'd recommend people. There's plenty of ATMs along the way. There's plenty of town stops to resupply, and that's all you need, 60 to $100. That's it. There weren't many hostels that were cash only, but there were some restaurants that were cash only, and some markets. I think maybe 1 or 2 markets in, I want to say, New Hampshire. But other than that, that's it. And the most important piece that I'm going to recommend to everybody is this. This is a foot massage ball, but it is really so much more. Now, you may have seen some earlier vloggers like Early Riser carrying one of those massage sticks, right? So you have a massage stick. I think those are great too, but for me, this was really all I needed. And some of those massage sticks that ER was carrying are actually in most of the hostels. So if you really had some kind of muscle problem, you could always go in a hostel and massage it out. But these are cheap, it's really light. You could actually massage your foot, IT band, calves, really anything that this would work on. And I never needed more than this. And like I said, if I did, I would just go into the hostel and use their stuff. So massage ball, I think it's like, I'm telling you, I think it's like an ounce, 1.1 ounces or something. It's definitely worth the wait, and I highly recommend it. So with that, that pretty much wraps up my entire gear list. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to comment below in that description box, and I will be sure to get back to you. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, etc. And I will see you in the next video.